a Thursday match, a Sunday match. It's not even the Christmas break yet, and the matches are literally coming 48 hours between, pretty much. But we go again. We dust ourselves off after Thursday. Not many changes to the team. We work with what we've got. And please, can we just stop using that fatigue card a little bit? But if ever the fatigue card could be used, it wasn't the Everton game on Thursday. It might be the Tottenham game on Sunday. But the opposition is in exactly the same boat. It's the Tottenham match preview, Newcastle fans. So do us a favour if you're curious and make sure you stick around. Welcome back to the black, the white and the banter. All together that spells black and white banter, in case you didn't know. Lovely to see some of you again. Not that I can see you, you can see me, but you know what I mean. It's nice to have anyone who's tuning into this. I appreciate it because I do sit and put these videos together, and it hurts me feelings a little bit if nobody watches them. Not many people watch my Everton videos, and that doesn't surprise me because Newcastle fans, and I think most football fans in the world, like to go on YouTube when things are going a little bit better than a 3-0 defeat. But as I said at the start of this video, you know, we dust ourselves off. I'll talk about that match in a little bit in a second because I didn't get a chance to do a last word video. But before I get into anything, do us a favour, Newcastle fans. Give us a little likey, Lou. That goes a very long way. It just helps this video maybe go to more Newcastle fans, which maybe helps it be worthwhile sticking together. And it only takes you literally one click. And if you like my opinion by the end of this video, whack that subscribe. I am not going down to Tottenham. Oh, it pains me to say it every time. I am no good at this watching it in the pub or watching it at home stuff. I don't like it. I don't. Even if it's a 6-hour journey. The dog has had her say. Too many logistics with it being a late Sunday game. Office day on a Monday for me as well. Very, very early start. No sleep, dog care, you name it. Lots of complications. So I had to sack this one off, unfortunately. But I have, you know, we've got Chelsea away next week in the Cup. We've got Luton away. We've got Liverpool away over Christmas. There's a lot to come. It saves us a couple of pennies in the process. But I will be doing some sort of... If I go to the pub, I'll do a vlog. If I stay in the house, I'll just be doing some match reactions. So if you want to catch any of that, give us a little subscribe. So, yeah, Thursday. I didn't get a chance to talk about it in more detail like I like to, just because of the turnaround in matches. I didn't like in the aftermath the doom and gloom. I understood a lot of people were more upset by getting beat by Everton than the average because a lot of people see them as the Scouse Mackhams and don't like it. You know, there's a bit of a rivalry there, and I think we were all shocked by the result. But I saw lots of people playing the card of fatigue and tired legs. I don't buy that at all, and I'll keep saying that. I didn't. We had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to recover after that Man United game. That is more than ample time for the lads to rest up and go again. And I did not see a performance there that smelt in any way of tired legs or fatigue. Now, some people have said, well, the mistakes made by Trippier, which essentially cost us the game, that was fatigue. There's no conclusive evidence that was fatigue. Mistakes are made in the Premier League week in, week out, regardless of fixture congestion, regardless of injuries in a squad. To say that Trippier made them because he was mentally tired, he looked okay for the previous 75 minutes, in my opinion, bombing up and down that wing like he always does. I didn't think it was. I thought we were okay in areas. I thought we were zippy in the pass. I thought if one team was going to win it when they scored, it was going to be us. Almiron's got to do better with his right foot and use his right foot in that chance in the first half. He's actually disappointed with his header in the first half. Anthony Gordon, who didn't have a very good game, I thought he let the occasion get the better of him. He's got to at least test Pickford more than he did when he runs clean through in the second half after he pinches it. We had chances, and if you make one error in the Premier League, you get punished. If you make two errors, especially that late in the match, you're done for. And we did that, and Kieran Trippier, I'm not going to get on his back. It's, you know, the amount he's done for us. He started this revolution when he joined this football club. They weren't good mistakes. He'll know it. We knew it. He'll be criticising himself. He'll not want to watch that back. But as I said at the start, we go again. Now, the fatigue card on that topic, if ever there was a match we maybe could use it for, it's Tottenham away. Because we have a very, very, very short turnaround. A pretty ridiculous turnaround. The lads that I got home from Everton, assuming they came straight home after the game, at like, what, midnight? Maybe they stayed over in Liverpool, I don't know. Maybe he's got one training session in on the Friday afternoon, maybe into the Saturday. And as I record this, they'll probably have headed down to London, be in their hotels on Saturday night. It's a very quick turnaround. It's going to be a big atmosphere. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, huge arena to play in. And that's where you need fresh legs. You do. Like, if you think about these two fixtures with our normal squad with no injuries, how different does it look? You can bring Murphy in for Almiron. You can bring Barnes in for Gordon if you really wanted to. You can bring Longstaff in. Elliot Anderson's in the mix. You've got Dan Burn could come in at left back or centre back. You know, the list goes on, and that's where it becomes more important. So that fatigue card, we'll see how it pans out. I'm not going to flash it now, and we'll see how they perform before we say that it looks. We're not just going to say tired legs if we lose, which I think a lot of people did after the Everton match, which annoyed me a little bit. But it's going to be a big ask. But I haven't said that. We look at our opposition, Tottenham. They haven't had any extra recovery time as an advantage. Like, you know, I watched Arsenal-Aston Villa tonight. Arsenal had a day's more rest than Aston Villa. That isn't the case. Tottenham played on Thursday against West Ham in a game they lost at home. They've got lots of injuries. I looked at their substitutes bench in the build-up to this video, who they played on Thursday and who the substitutes were. They don't have much to choose from. They've got Richarlison slowly coming back from injury. He made the bench, but generally speaking, they're slim pickings. You know, the likes of James Maddison's out for them. Some really, really key players. So they're struggling, and the Ange Postecoglou, after Sky Sports made him out to be manager of the decade 5 games into the season, that's starting to drop off a little bit. And they are constantly conceding goals. And West Ham have won there in recent times. Palace have won there. Chelsea battered them 4-1 at home. They haven't won since the 23rd of October. So it's even Stevens. Both teams have injuries. Both teams played on Thursday. We're in better form than what Tottenham are. Let's see what we can do. Now, we don't need to talk too much about teams going into this match. We know it's going to be the same starting 11. Miley, Bruno, Joe Linton, Almiron, Isak, Gordon. There's maybe question marks over Lascelles. If I was picking someone to come in for Lascelles if he was injured, I would actually go Paul Dummett over Kraft. That might surprise a few people. Kraft played a lot of his time at fullback when he played more football for us, mainly under Steve Bruce. I think Paul Dummett has done enough against Man City and Man United to warrant coming in and doing a decent job. I do, and so that might surprise a couple of people. Paul Dummett has not put a foot wrong when he's been called upon. And in that Man City match in the Carabao Cup, yes, they were a changed team, but he was coming up against still some international players. So that's who I would go for, but we'll see. Hopefully Lascelles passes fit, because he's been excellent for us recently since he's been asked to do a job. So our team will be the same. Where can they hurt us first and foremost? Well, if there's one area of the pitch I would look at as dangerous, it's a combination of Porro and Kulusevski on their right-hand side. Very, very dangerous. But what I am not fearing because of that is Livramento. The man has been immaculate for Newcastle since coming in. And I don't use that word very often to describe a player's performance as immaculate. Can anyone watching this tell me any mistake, sloppy pass? Just both ends of the pitch, he's been brilliant. So as long as he gets support from Joe Linton, which I'm sure he will in midfield, we may be able to cope with that threat as best as possible. Fingers crossed. On the other side, they've got they've got Johnson, who's looking okay for them. I think he's been a decent bit of business from Nottingham Forest. He's a threat. He's pacey. Kieran Trippier will be wanting to put them mistakes behind him. Maybe Kieran Trippier is a player who would ideally be rested a bit more than what he is. That just can't happen at the moment, unfortunately. You're not going to put Kraft in over Kieran Trippier because you missed something at the other end of the pitch. Midfield, I think we can win that battle. In their last match, they played Basuma and Højbjerg. I don't mind either of them. If you'd gone back to the start of the season, you'd be saying the world beaters. I think Joe Linton, if he's in that sort of mood that he's been in more recently, we've seen a much improved Joe Linton. We can win the battles in there. And then it's all whether Isak can do a little bit more. And I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Isak, for me, in some away matches, and our away form, which I'll touch on in a second, has not been good. He just looks isolated. He's a very different player to Callum Wilson, and we do have a nice blend when we have both. But he's a player who relies on balls over the top. He's not a player for the nitty-gritty. I don't think Isak's hold-up play is probably there when our backs are against the wall in a match. He is someone who probably wants a ball pinged over. and he's just looked a little bit isolated. And when Eddie Howe moved him over to the left-hand side on Thursday, I thought he looked a lot more effective. Is there an argument that he's maybe better suited there in a front three? Not an out-and-out left midfielder in a four, but a left side of a three like Thierry Henry was for a lot of years. I think the jury could still be out on that one. I do. I think he's got the predator instincts in the box, and he's brilliant in front of goal to warrant still being classed as a striker, and I do still see him that way. But in matches, depending how the games go, and the fact that Eddie Howe can mix it up like he did on Thursday was nice to see when the injuries are bad. So we want to see a little bit more from him. Almiron needs to improve on his performance on Thursday. He should be using that right foot more than he does. And I've probably said that on 255,000 videos, and I've only probably recorded about 300. Just to emphasise how much that man is a very, very one-footed professional footballer. You know, the chance in the first half, the crossing opportunity that he had in the first half, when he had bodies waiting in the box, using his left foot just restricted him so much. So we need to see a little bit more in those areas. Our away form's not good, and I'll do a video of that probably later in the week, depending on how Sunday's performance goes, because we need to pinpoint why. Because what's worrying is if our home form wasn't formidable, where would that be leaving us in the league? You could probably argue that from external media, Eddie Howe would probably be under pressure again from idiots on Twitter. Because if we hadn't won the 5 games back-to-back at home, we'd probably be mid-table, 11th, 12th, because we've only picked up 1 win, and it's December. That's very different to last season. You know, I look back to the West Ham away game where we drew 2-2, we didn't play great. Man City and Brighton at the start, that was when Brighton were flying. They were difficult, so I'm not worried about them too. You know, we went down at Bournemouth when we were leggy. Is it the injuries? Maybe. I don't know, but we need to sort that out. So on stats and things like that, let's get into some black and white banter. Stats! If the history of this fixture has got anything to go by, you might have to get some popcorn in, Newcastle fans. And I'm sure the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, if you go on, I think it sells it with the many vendors that they have, because out of matches that have been played more than 50 times in the Premier League history, this has the most goals. 177, 3.16 average per game. So there is normally goals in this one. If you look at the 2 fatigued sides going into this match with not many players to mix up, I think we could be looking at more goals in this one as well. Newcastle United are travelling down to London pretty well in recent times. We have not lost in 8 matches in the capital, going back to Tottenham in April 2022 when we got beat 5-1, if anyone remembers that, when Fabian Schär put us 1-0 up and it just imploded in the second half. I don't know what went wrong that day, but our form in London when I've been growing up has always been pretty bad. Now we travel pretty well down there, so fingers crossed that continues. And lastly, I am keeping these all positive, these stats today. Newcastle have won 11 away matches against Tottenham. That is the joint highest with West Ham, our highest ever. So this fixture is one we normally come out from okay. And again, if I'm Captain Jinx, please get in the comments on my matches after the video to tell me I'm a massive arsehole. I'm keeping them positive. I'm sticking them all out there. And hopefully, let us know in the comments, do you like black and white banter stats, or do they just go over your head? Maybe the whole video goes over your head. But yes, that's another load of lovely black and white banter stats. So what am I going to go for in this one? I'm going to go for a score draw. I'm going to go for 2-2. And I tell you what, that AC Milan game on Wednesday is huge. Absolutely huge. And I'll tell you what, not that it's a scenario that I want. If you were to say to me, lose on Sunday, win on Wednesday is an option now that I could take, I would take it hands down. If we win on Wednesday, we guarantee European football of some description, either Champions League or Europa. That is massive going into the new year. So really, really hope we don't get any more injuries in this one. I will be so scared to see any players go down. So let's go into that game with a decent result. It's going to be a big ask with no substitutes bench again. 2 games in 3 days is a huge, huge ask. But Tottenham are in the same boat. I think there'll be goals. I just really hope we can get something, and I really hope that we can maybe have a scoreline that reflects the game a little bit more, because I don't think Thursday's did. We weren't great on Thursday. We could be so much better, as we all know, but it wasn't a 3-0 match, and I really hope those individual errors are cut out down in Tottenham. Newcastle fans, let me know your predictions in the comments. Let me know whether you think this is going to be just one too many, and please give your score predictions. I'd ask you to give us your team, but there's not really much you can change there. Fingers crossed we get the points. I'll be roaring the boys on at home, either with the dog in arm or with a pint in arm in the pub, or maybe both. Safe journey if you're going down. I am with every single one of you, and I'm gutted I'm not joining yous. And fingers crossed we continue that decent record down in the capital. Keep the faith. Away the lads!